right? If you go to anyone else's, you may be looking in to, bettering your product knowledge or skills with overcoming objections at the QA. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just believe that growing your business in terms of the licensed agents that you have will solve every other problem in your business, right? Recruiting solves all problems. I was listening to an audio yesterday, and they were just highlighting the fact that everybody in Primerica that's $1 million earner, they have no idea what's going on products wise. The $1 million earners, they don't even know that we partnered with Fidelity. Like if you told them that, what, really? We got a new partnership? Like that's how far gone they are, right? But the ones that are, super engaged in the field still because they haven't built a field force, they're like, oh my gosh, we built, or better yet, we partnered with Fidelity. That's gonna change everything now that we're partnered with Fidelity. No, what's gonna change everything is you going out and getting 100 licensed agents so that you never have to do another appointment again. What would life be like if middle-class American families were being serviced not by you directly, but by you indirectly, because you trained and developed an organization of 100 licensed people? My mentor has left the state for the second time because he liked it so much he had to go back. And somebody in his base shop was Top Gun this week. And he had absolutely nothing to do with it. I promise. Yet, he got a call from that person saying, Samir, guess what? I made $2,000 in 3 days. And guess what he said? That's awesome. I made $2,000 doing nothing. It's all about perspective, right? And we're super proud of Marin having done that. But the perspective that you hold on the Primerica opportunity is what will determine direction, right? Your perspective, your outlook on things determines your direction, and your direction determines your destination. Where are you going to be 5 years from now? Are you going to still be in the field? Are you still going to have a job? Or are you going to be on the slopes of Colorado because you've built an economic engine? So when you're sitting down and speaking to a potential recruit, I believe the vocabulary that you use, the words that the power words that you use are a big deal, right? Not words that they've never heard before, like hierarchy or base shop, right? These are not, but use words that they can understand, but that stick out to them and are attractive, like economic engine, asset, passive income. Sam Walton said there's 2 ways that you can succeed in America. And you can say this to somebody when you're speaking to them. But number 1, it's to serve middle America. And number 2 is to multiply yourself. I'm going to come back to that. But before I get started on this 20-minute interview, I want to give you guys a piece of ammo when you're speaking to somebody, right? These little bits of, last week I did a training on how to reply to somebody that tells you that Primerica is a pyramid scheme or a scam or blah, blah, blah. I went through that to give you the facts last week. These little, as much ammo as you can, you know, have in your back pocket is always a good thing. So I'd like to tell you the pizza story. All right. So say a guy starts a place called Joe's Pizza and he hires a guy. Okay, one guy. And that guy learns the trade and leaves Joe's Pizza and starts Pizza Inn with his brother. This is a true story, by the way. Pizza Inn. Okay. Then the brothers are, they're thriving, but they're not getting along. So one of the brothers goes and starts his own pizza shop, leaving Pizza Inn, and he calls it Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut then becomes the largest pizza chain in the entire country until one of the employees of Pizza Hut realizes that things could be much more profitable if they start delivering pizza. So he goes to the owner of Pizza Hut and says, dude, we got to deliver. We got to deliver these pizzas. He says, no, that's not our business model. If they want our pizza, they can come in. That's what makes us different. So the employee goes and leaves Pizza Hut and starts the first pizza shop ever to deliver pizza. Anybody know which one that is? Domino's. Exactly. Now, Domino's is superior to Pizza Hut, and no one knows who Pizza Hut is anymore. And who trained the guy? Huh? Who trained the guy that created Domino's? Somebody else. Does that guy benefit from the founder of Domino's success? No. Then the guy who starts Domino's trains a lot of employees, one of which says, I think we can do this same exact thing, franchise it, deliver the pizza, but with better ingredients. And his name is John, I guess, and we call him Papa. And he goes out and starts Papa John's. Now, this can be traced back all the way to Mr. Joe. What does Joe get for producing the guy who had a brother that started Pizza Inn, and then the brother that starts Pizza Hut, and then the employee that starts Domino's, and the employee that starts Papa John's? What do any of those folks get for producing studs? Nothing. Well, we've actually created a way to ensure that never happens if you were to create an asset of your own here at Primerica Financial Services. So that's a story that you can use, you know, when speaking to somebody that gets them thinking in terms of how it could benefit their family long term, right? You got to speak to people to recruit them away from their job mentality. The other thing I was listening to on an audio was, And when you're interviewing somebody, it doesn't always have to be like a monologue, by the way. You know, asking questions is a great thing to do, probably the best thing you can do when you're interviewing somebody. The more questions, thought-provoking questions you can ask somebody, the better off you'll be when recruiting that person. I believe that that's the better off you'll be. And you know, a question you can ask is, how long have you been working? Right? And they'll say 20 years. And then if you go back and look at every single pay stub that you've ever gotten in the last 20 years, up until today, what exactly would you say you have to show for it today? 20 years worth of pay stubs later. How, and then they'll say whatever they say. Okay, how does that make you feel? Never again will I focus my energy and efforts towards building something that won't provide me dividends forever. Dividends forever. Mr. Potential New Recruit, do you know what dividends are? See, we all have an issue, not all of us, but a lot of people mentally have an issue with making money off of other people. But they don't, you know, but it's because they think they're earning something for nothing, because they were raised their whole entire lives in school to go to school, get a degree, and get a job working for somebody else, where they receive due income. And going over the difference between due and did income is a great idea too. And this is all gonna come together when I actually do the 20-minute interview. Probably gonna be even shorter than that. But it's the mentality behind it. When you use the word dividends, you know, that's something that they may not fully understand, but they definitely have heard it before somewhere. Power words, power questions. What dividends have you insured your family and created for your family long term for the 20 years, 7 years, 10 years of work that you've put in so far in your lifetime? Well, I don't know what dividends are, Josh. It's money received from your money growing over time with you doing nothing. Like, you know what a 401k is, right? You know what we'll just use a 401k. We pay into our 401k for 30 years. And then after 30 years, finally you get to withdraw and live off of that money, with the chance of it never running out if you invest it properly. That's okay. It's okay for someone to do that, right, Mr. Potential New Recruit? Yes. But is it okay for me, instead of compounding money, I could compound people? Do you know what the 10th world, excuse me, do you know what the 10th wonder of the world is? Compounding people. The 9th wonder of the world is compound interest, but the 10th wonder of the world is compounding people. And when I put enough people in this engine, this perpetual engine, this economic engine, this did engine, it will return like the 401k investment will return huge dividends back to me when I put people into this economic engine. It's the 10th wonder of the world. So these are the mentality and the thoughts, the conversation that you want to have with a potential new recruit. Get them thinking in the right direction, away from what their job has provided and towards what Primerica's opportunity can provide. But I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to get going here. The first thing you want to do when sitting down with a new recruit, this is actually an old presentation. Okay, we use the webinar now, and this is being recorded, so you know anyone can go back and look at it on YouTube. But we use the webinar with Shaq. We use the 20-minute interview, which thoroughly goes through everything. But sometimes when you're speaking with maybe it's like warm market, delivery of this opportunity is huge when speaking to somebody that could potentially be just great. So sometimes you just want to talk to that person instead of playing a video or a webinar. You talk to that person. So you go through your personal story. I was doing this. I am accomplishing this. We are focused on building this. And it should be like 90 seconds to 2-3 minutes, getting right into things. And, then you're getting to know somebody's goals of their own. Maybe you ask them a question. Have you ever thought of starting your own business before? That's a great question to just to figure out where someone is at, and you meet them where they are. And highlight today's financial crisis. See, I'm just going to use Shondell. Shondell, right now, there's a financial crisis going on in America's economy. This is even before the pandemic. And the great news about a crisis or a problem is wherever there's a problem, Shondell, there's a massive, massive opportunity gift wrapped inside of that problem. You just have to know how to bring a solution, and we have an incredible solution. But the challenge is right now, the average American with at least one credit card has nearly $16,000 in credit card debt. 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Shondell, have you known anybody in your lifetime to live paycheck to paycheck? Can you role play? Shondell?
We can't hear you, Shondell.
Morgan, anyone? 95 million US adults have no, thank you, Morgan. 95 million US adults have no life insurance, okay? How important is life insurance for somebody to have? Morgan?
I believe it's pretty important to have.
Do you have any of your own?
No. Well, just through my job, yeah. I don't have anything on my own.
Okay, interesting. That's great to have through, something. Most people have nothing, right? And that's a third of the adults in the country. I'm sure you know what GoFundMe is, right?
Yeah.
We want to eliminate GoFundMes across the country. That is one of our missions. Do you believe it would be a great thing to do to make sure nobody ever has to put a hand out if something were to ever happen to their loved ones?
Yeah, absolutely.
More than 50% of the country has less than 25,000 saved for retirement. 80% of the people in this country that are workers will not retire on time. If you were to work until your 70s, how would that make you feel, Morgan?
Not good.
Would you like that? Would you wish that upon your parents?
No, but I know people in that same situation right now.
Right. And that's if there was any way, shape, or form that you could help others away from that situation or out of that situation, would you like to be involved in that?
I would love to be.
Right. And these are big problems. But you know, the craziest thing is with these challenges, you would think most financial companies would have a good response to it, but in reality, they don't. The American consumers are approaching $1 trillion in credit card debt. Who issues credit cards? Banks, financial institutions. And for most of the US workers, their incomes, they're not going up. How many raises have you received from Walgreens in the last 7 years, Morgan?
Not any. I'm already capped out. I won't receive another raise.
If you don't receive any more raises and everything around you gets more expensive, how do you see your future looking? Bleak? Do you see it bright?
Very bleak.
Bleak. Okay. And how do you feel about not having too much financial upward momentum?
Well, I don't feel good about it, but I didn't think I had an option to do anything about it.
If you had more options, perhaps control over your raises and promotions, is that something that you would like to take advantage of?
Yes.
Right. We want to provide that opportunity to our brokers and our agents. America's 3 biggest banks earned more than $6 billion from fees last year. And most financial advisors, they don't even want to take on clients if they don't have a lot of money already. So this is a huge problem. And I once heard, Morgan, somebody by the name of Sam Walton, who created Walmart, say that the best way to become successful in this country is to do 2 things. Number 1, provide a service to or a product that serves middle class America. And number 2, then multiply yourself so that you can get that product and service out to thousands or millions of middle class Americans. If you do those 2 things, you'll be successful. We have done those 2 things, Morgan, and that's why we're so successful. We have a mission to help middle class families protect their income if something were to ever happen to them too soon in life. Their families are taken care of. But even if they live a long life, we want them to be debt-free and financially independent. Do you feel like that's a good mission, that's a good thing to do for families, Morgan?
Yeah.
What does financial independence mean to you? Have you ever thought?
Just like you said, not living paycheck to paycheck and doing the things that I want and need to do.
Absolutely. And just a little bit more on our company's history. The name of our company is Primerica Financial Services. You may have heard of us. We don't do any public advertising because we don't need to. We have 6,000 locations across the country, Canada, Guam, and Puerto Rico. 135,000 licensed agents. This is an old presentation. We've grown exponentially since then. We're on the New York Stock Exchange, which you'll see in a second. But today we're the largest financial services company in America. And we wanted it to be that way so that we can service middle class